and enjoy your listening experience. What am I talking about? Shout out. What is happening, YouTube? It's your boy Beats back again for another YouTube quick Ableton tutorial. What we're going to get into today is mastering, or the mastering channel in Ableton, and what you can do to it to get your tracks boosted up and sounding a lot more commercial using Ableton stock plugins. So for those of us who are hobbyists or aren't spending a bag on Waves plugins or Ozone plugins or any other plugin for that matter that costs an arm and a leg, this is for you. This is going to take your sound to the next level when you finish a track and you've got a good balance and mix, and you want to get that output volume up to how it would normally sound on a radio release using just Ableton stock plugins. So this is what we've got without, right? You've just made a nice beat, you've got your track, you've given it a great balance, you've left yourself some headroom, and it sounds a little something like this. Not bad, right? But you want it to sound a lot more like this. I got you. Right, so let's get into this. Here is my mastering chain using Ableton stock plugins, and I'll explain what we've got going on and then I'll get into it. So the first thing we've got is this glue compressor. This compressor is modeled on the SSL famous bus compressor. Here what we're doing with this is we're basically, as the title suggests, we're kind of gluing our mix together. So what we're doing is we're taking all of the attack and release times right down, we're taking the ratio right down, we're not touching it with any threshold, we're not boosting it at all. All we're doing is allowing the signal to run through it and just allow it to tickle those high peaks and the transients. Now if I just turn everything else off and go through one by one, you will see what the glue compressor is doing to our track. So if you have a look at this pin, it's going to be moving just a bit. You can see there, all it's doing is just interacting with the highest peaks and transients in the track. It's not really doing anything to it other than using its circuitry just to keep everything glued together and gel a little bit. Second thing we've got is we've got our channel EQ. There's not too much going on here. You can see it's split into 3 bands, and we're just taking the highest band, which is roughly around the 8K mark, somewhere between 8 and 10K. And we're just raising it up ever so slightly just to get a little bit of brightness and sparkle out of the mix. The next thing we've got going on is our multiband compressor. Now this is where there's a little bit more compression going on. So what we're doing is we're taking our overall mix sound and we are basically splitting that into 3 different bands, low, mid and high, and we are tickling each section and crossover with a tiny bit of compression just to control it that little bit more. So there's not too much peaking going on, kind of levels it out a little bit. So I'll show you what we're doing there. So if I turn it on, I'll show you what's going on. So here we've got our attack and our release times of the compression, how long it's engaged for and when it engages. We've got the 3 bands here, they're split here. I've got mine set at 195 in the lows, it's set at 4003 on the highs, and the mids, if we go to the section that matters here, this is where our compression ratios are. Everything is being compressed at a very low compression ratio at 2:1, and then this is where we bring the thresholds down. So you can see thresholds are interacting with the signal. If I press play, so I'll just show you what's happening here. This lowest band, as I bring the threshold down, you'll see it start to compress more in the lower part of the signal. You can hear it, you can see it, it's audible, it's bringing the peak transients of the bass and compressing them down. It's very drastic here because I'm bringing the threshold right down so you can hear the lows actually coming down in volume. The idea is here is just to tickle them with compression. As this is a UK drill track, I know that the bass is going to be prominent and really sticking out, so I'm going to compress the bass a little bit harder and a little bit longer, so you'll see that it's coming in quick and it's holding on to it a lot longer. Same in the mids. The mids just want to tickle it. And in the high range where the hi-hats are a big part of drill music. You can hear them sticking out. I wanted to just compress that a little bit more, get a bit more control over that. You can see the velocity and the dynamics of the hi-hats are very sporadic, as typical in the UK drill sound, so I want to be able to compress it so these higher peak ones are getting a little bit more control and coming ever so slightly closer to the ones that are lower in velocity without losing the dynamic range. And we'll play that. Now, as you would expect, because we are putting some more compression on across the whole stereo image in 3 parts, the overall output of the sound has come down a little bit. So what we can do is we can go to the master output of the multi-band compressor, and we can just raise that to use it as a makeup gain to give us that bit of nice. The Saturator, this is a lot like the J37 or any kind of tape emulation plugin. This is basically just giving some harmonic distortion, that kind of fake perception of sound becoming louder when actually all you're doing is just driving the frequencies and creating some distortion in the harmonics. So let's have a listen to this. I'm going to pop that on. What I would do normally is I would drive it at somewhere between 1 and 3. Make sure I then pull the output back by the same amount so it isn't changing the volume at all. Stick the soft clipper on and then change the shape to the soft sine wave. And this is what we get with this. So this is before. And this is after. So it's just crunching it ever so slightly, giving it a bit more character, a slight perceived lift in volume, but obviously we're pulling it back here on the output. And the final thing in the chain is your trusty limiter. So what we've done with the limiter is we've set the output ceiling minus 0.2 dB. So that means that no sound is going to pass that. And then we're using the gain to boost the overall signal into the limiter until it starts to limit. So I'll turn it off and then turn it on. Let me bring it down to 0 first so you can see what's going on here. So what we've done is we've brought that down just so it is affecting all of the track. It's affecting the peaks that are the loudest the most, and it's tickling the lowest ones ever so slightly, so it's bringing the overall volume of the whole track up. Let's just do it A and B before and after so you can hear what it's done in total. So this was before and this is after. Nice. So there we have it, guys. That is my mastering chain on the master channel in Ableton using stock plugins. This is effectively what I would do if I was using my Waves plugins or Ozone, and this is just how I would correlate those changes and moves using the stock plugins in Ableton. You can do it, it can be done. Obviously there's characteristics that you're going to get from these plugins that are modeled on old analog gear, but this stuff within Ableton is very good and does the job very well. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some use out of it. Peace.